Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wonder Series. I'm Denise Stegall. I am the CEO and curator at livinghealthylist.com and your host of the Wonder Series. The Wonder Series is your opportunity every single week, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, to look at life from another perspective, to open yourself up to the possibilities and actually change your mindset. What would you be? What would you do? What could you create? And ultimately, how could this help you live the healthy, happy life that you were actually meant to live? That life that you've been searching for, you are meant to live. And we are here to help you do that. So in October is both Perimenopause Awareness Month and also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Two very, very important topics for women's health. So we're talking, each week we're going to talk about one of those two topics. And today, on today's episode, we are going to be talking about perimenopause with my dear friend, Lorraine Miano. Lorraine offers menopause advocacy, support, resources to women in all phases of menopause, including perimenopause, through her coaching, her nutrition, and preventative lifestyle coaching. Those choices really help you to make that healthy, happy transition into perimenopause and through menopause. She's also the author of The Magic of Menopause, a holistic guide to, get this one, guys, get your happy back. And isn't that all what we're looking for at this stage in life? Lorraine, hi, thank you so much for being with me today.
Hi, Denise. Thanks so much for having me. And we really do want to make these years magical.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, most of us know about menopause, or we think we know about menopause, but most of us don't know much about perimenopause. It seems to be kind of like one of those, I hate to say this, but new buzzwords, but it really is something that women need to know about. Can you tell us a little bit, explain to us, what is perimenopause and why are we really just hearing about it kind of now?
Well, actually, the term perimenopause only came about in the early 90s. And what it really means is around menopause. So perimenopause are the years just prior to your last menses, and that when you reach menopause, which is actually just one day, it's the 12-month anniversary of when your menses cease. So prior to that, you'll be in your perimenopause phase, and that could last anywhere from 2 to 15 years for some women. And a lot of it depends on not only genetics, but lifestyle, stress levels, exercise, movement. So all of those things that lead up to those years, what you've done prior to that can all affect how you will have a perimenopause, what your symptoms will be like. For some women, it can start as early as their late 30s, although that's considered premature perimenopause. Yeah, the average age is about 45 or 46 for it to begin. And the average age for menopause is about 51. Mm-hmm. And then the very next day, once you've reached menopause, you will be postmenopausal for the rest of your life. And for many women, that could be up to 50% of their life. So that's a long time, and we don't want to be suffering. We want to really have a magical life, a healthy lifespan.
So when we talk about perimenopause, like you said, I mean, this started for me, it started when I was 37. So it can start for women in their later 30s. Those lucky ladies that don't start until you're 46, 47, I'm jealous. But, and you say lifestyle, I think that it's definitely lifestyle, but you mentioned quickly familial. And it's interesting for me, neither of those things really applied. At least I didn't think they did. I asked my mom. My mom didn't really deal with menopause, perimenopause, until she was in her later 40s, really in her early 50s. And so I thought, well, mom didn't go through this. I've been an athlete, a dancer. I mean, I've run half marathons. I'm pretty good at exercise. Most people know that my deal is eat real food. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't figure out, like, what the hell happened to me? Why was I dealing with it at such a young age? And when I look into it, familial, I do have a cousin who, on my mom's side, who was kind of dealing with the same thing around the same time. But here's the kicker. nobody talked about it.
Right. Right. And now it's just starting to be talked about more and more. And I'm so happy about that. But you are so right. It was like a taboo subject. And I can't help yelling vagina from the rooftops now, because women really need to be talking about what is happening with their bodies. And they are so scared sometimes to open up to their healthcare providers. And the healthcare providers are not starting the conversation. So getting back to what you were saying about how women may not have experienced perimenopause until their later 40s, early 50s, they may have, but may not have realized that some of their symptoms actually were part of perimenopause. And oftentimes anxiety can be the first symptom. There are different things that can happen. Low libido, fatigue. Women often associate menopause with hot flashes.
Yeah.
And weight gain. And they forget about all those other things that could be happening. Fatigue, dry everything from hair, skin, vagina, everything on your bodies. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they may have had some of those symptoms and didn't even realize it until they started having irregular periods and hot flashes.
Well, I think that makes a very good point. So that's probably most of the women, older women that I know, because all of them said, oh no, I didn't, we didn't deal with that until we were in our 50s. And I thought, well, I'm so young. Well, how did that, why was there such a big gap? But now you're actually, this makes a lot of sense that there probably wasn't a gap. There was that probably lack of understanding and realization that some of the things that they were dealing with actually were perimenopausal symptoms. What I find with doctors, when you go to the doctor, you don't have a lot of time with your OBGYN. Mm-hmm. And I guess the question is the OBGYN even the right person to talk to?
I would say if they are certified, I don't know if the right term is certified in menopause or a menopause expert, yes, but many of them aren't. They don't get any kind of education, maybe 3 hours worth of education as a resident in menopause. So the menopause.org, the North American Menopause Society, I think that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. They actually have a certification program where physicians will go and take their program, and you can search their site for a specific physician that might be certified in menopause who can help you. Also, another option of functional medicine doctors, because they normally will get to the root of everything that's going on in your body. So unfortunately, a lot of them are not covered by insurance. But there's also, I think you can do a search for a functional medicine doctor in your area.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. I think because, when it comes to most, medicine, people are, they specialize. And I think you're right. At this day and age, we really should be talking to specialists in menopause when we're dealing with menopause. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. I think most of us probably didn't know there was a menopause.org that would help us do that.
Yeah.
So for those of us who, are dealing with menopausal symptoms, kind of give me the list. I'll just check them all off. What are some of the things that we can start doing now? Obviously, we can't fix what we've done in the past or didn't do in the past. What can we start doing today to really help today and make it easier moving forward? Because I'm assuming I still have a little bit more time.
Yeah. So as I start this conversation, I want to remind women who are listening that if you have daughters or nieces or young friends, that whatever I'm telling you now for what you can start now, tell them to start early in their life so that they don't have to go through any of the crappy symptoms and they can have a happy and magical menopause. So just keep that in mind as we talk about what we can do. So one of the two top things I say that affect women in perimenopause through postmenopause are sugar and stress. Mm-hmm. Those are two of the worst things for our bodies. So I would say the first thing to do is eliminate all processed sugars from your life as much as you can. And that includes alcohol. And we also want to limit caffeine. They do say that during perimenopause, caffeine can be beneficial for some women, but if you're experiencing extreme hot flashes and anxiety, I would say just cut out the caffeine right off the bat, because those are two triggers, and they also affect sleep. And insomnia is one of the symptoms that women experience of hormone imbalance during the perimenopause years. The next thing would be to reduce stress in our lives. So number one, learn to say no. Women have a hard time with that, but let's try to get things off of our plate. And I know during these years, a lot of us are in that sandwich generation where we're taking care of adult children, but also taking care of our aging parents. So that can be very stressful. I'm in the position of helping my parents right now. My mom's been going through several severe health things. So I know the feeling, and I know that we really have to pay attention to doing things to de-escalate the stress levels in our life. So some of the things that we can do, simple things, are meditation and deep breathing. My favorite is the 4-7-8 breath, and I'm sure you probably know that, Dr. Weil's 4-7-8 breath. You can Google that on or look it up on YouTube. It's a very simple thing. I have women fall asleep while they're doing it, so it's really beneficial and it's cumulative. So just do it throughout the day. Gratitude journaling is a big thing. Yoga, moderate movement. A 20-minute walk can be as effective as taking a Xanax. So if you are having an anxiety, any kind of anxiety or high stress levels, just go and take yourself for a 20-minute walk. Very beneficial.
Outside? Does it mean
Yep. It doesn't matter. And just if you can do it inside, go to a mall, or if they're even open anymore. I don't even know, but or it's inside track somewhere. Yeah, just take yourself for a walk. If you have a rebounder, do some jumping on your rebounder. Those are great ways to relieve stress.
Let's talk about the rebounder. Because I want one. I'm asking for one for Christmas because I've heard rebounder from so many, like several people who I look to for advice, yourself included. Tell the audience about the rebounder, why it's good, what they should do, why they should have one.
So it's a mini trampoline for those of you who don't know, and jumping on it has actually been proven. NASA has done studies. It helps to build bone. So it helps to prevent osteoporosis. I actually wrote a blog about that. So it actually has been shown to increase bone growth. So it's good for, for menopausal women. Post-menopause, osteoporosis and heart disease are two of the things that we worry about. So getting on that rebounder helps with that. Of course, it's a cardio, and you can do it at different levels. There are little videos you can watch to go crazy. I actually have a handle on mine because I am a klutz and I will fly off the thing and twist an ankle. So I actually hold on while I'm jumping. And I do all kinds of different things while I'm on it, and I can listen to podcasts and just really pay attention to really feeling good, really releasing that stress, because it is so wonderful for our bodies. It also is great for your lymphatic system, because the only way that you move those toxins out of your body is to get that lymphatic system moving. And the only way to do that is to move your body. Or massage, which is another great thing for stress reduction. And for those of you who don't go for massages, or maybe can't afford it because some of them are expensive, try to trade off with a friend or your significant other, because it is so beneficial for our bodies, relieving stress and getting that lymphatic system moving and the toxins out of our body.
One thing that for people to look into to see if they have a massage school by them. That's actually one of the things that here in our town, we had 3 or 4 schools at one point. And the students needed to practice. And so they gave inexpensive massages. So that's actually something.
Yeah, that's a great way.
I love that. And that's a good point. Lymphatic system, we don't talk about that enough. We know we need to move toxins out. We think if we drink enough water that we're doing enough, but obviously there's more going on.
Yeah.
I have a question about digging a little bit deeper on the lymphatic system. I've heard, and I do this a little bit myself, I'm not very good at it, is dry brushing for the lymphatic system.
Yeah, that's great. I used to talk about that all the time. I have my dry brush downstairs, and it's kind of brushing different parts of your body towards your heart. So like up your legs, like a few times each leg, your arms towards your heart. Belly, you kind of do it in a circle, and on your back, just everywhere. And that gets your lymphatic system going too. Yeah. And I do it before the shower, before you get in the shower.
If you did it in the shower, it would be called wet brushing.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to talk about these things because, again, they're not things that we talk about on a regular basis. People who have kids are always talking about their kids and what the grandkids are doing and those kinds of things. And we forget to say, oh, and by the way, Lorraine, how are you doing?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And girlfriends, actually, it's been shown that girlfriends are even healthier for you having those conversations than going to a healthcare practitioner. So yeah, get that little gang of girlfriends and really talk and talk about menopause.
But don't do it too late, because you don't want to have caffeine and
right.
or too much alcohol. Right. So let's talk about the alcohol piece, because I know I love me a glass of wine. Mm-hmm. I have a glass of wine maybe, on a Friday or Saturday night with dinner. And that's really, for me, that's usually my limit. But I know, I'm going to be traveling to California and I'm going to have a little bit of wine tasting.
Yeah.
For those of us who, are kind of going, I don't know that I want to give up my glass of wine here and there. Benefits, what outweighs, is it, tell us a little bit more about, benefit versus non-benefit.
Well, moderate drinking, actually, there are studies that show that moderate drinking is actually beneficial for your health, that people who actually drink moderately have less heart disease, less cases of Alzheimer's, cardiovascular, issues. So, I mean, moderately drinking is fine. However, I would say if you have insomnia, anxiety, and extreme hot flashes, that's where you want to really pay attention to what's going on. Now, for insomnia, if you have a glass of wine in the evening, a glass or two, that'll make you tired. It'll probably put you to sleep right away. But what happens sometimes is that you bypass the REM sleep, which is your restorative sleep, because you go into too deep a sleep too fast. And then what happens is you wake up in the middle of the night, you haven't had that restorative sleep, and then you can't get back to sleep. And of course, then the mind starts going and then forget about it. So I would say, if you can do it, a couple of times a week is fine. But then again, just, keep a food journal, and on the food journal, just be sure to mark, when you drink the alcohol or caffeine or have caffeine, and see how you feel hours later and see if that was significant for your nighttime sleep or your hot flashes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know for me, I'm a tea drinker. So I drink tea when I get up in the morning. I have a little pot. So it's maybe 2 cups of tea. And then throughout the day, I'll have water, or I'll have decaf teas, herbal teas, those kind of things. I love the flavor. But I have noticed, and I never noticed this when I was younger, I have noticed if I have a cup of tea at that 3 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes you kind of feel a little sleepy. If I have a cup of tea in the afternoon, not that I don't sleep through the night, it takes me longer to fall asleep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so that's what
I can't have caffeine at all in late afternoon, because that's my issue. And I actually get the jitters later, and I could have it in the morning, although now I've given up caffeine and alcohol completely right now. And I've actually been feeling great. But I had, I was having like a little bit of stress, high stress levels. I wanted to see if it would help, and it has. So, but I mean, I could have caffeine in the morning, I would be fine, but late afternoon, forget about it. It would be like the jitters, and then couldn't get to sleep. Yeah.
You made a good point about, keeping a food journal. And I know, we fight about this all the time. Like, we start it, we don't start it. I'm notorious. Like, I'm forever trying to start my journal on my phone thinking, it'll be easy. I've gotten to the point after years of trying, I just keep a written journal. I keep a notebook. It's right here. Here's my little notebook.
Yeah. I'm old school too. Everything, even my agenda, everything, I write everything down.
Okay, that I don't do old school. That actually, my schedule and my agenda, that actually finally last year went online. But everything
I'm trying. But actually writing things down, I think I can remember them better if I'm actually writing them down,
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when you're in school, they tell you to write things out because you'll remember, whatever you're trying to learn.
Yeah.
So I think that's always.
But food journaling is a great way for not just caffeine and alcohol, for even foods that you're eating, because if you're eating processed foods, sometimes women think that they're eating healthy. And I talk about this often, how before I became a health coach, I always was interested in health. I always wanted to live a healthy lifestyle. But I thought when I was raising my kids that buying Snackwell cookies was healthy. Okay, so because they did such a good job of saying low fat is healthy, everything low fat. Well, low fat led to more heart disease, diabetes, and anxiety than ever before. Yeah. So eat those healthy fats, ladies.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more. Let's dig a little bit deeper into food. So processed foods, obviously keep the snack wells out, but there's so many things that, when you look in your pantry that you don't think of as processed foods. Crackers,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
anything in a box, really, anything
pretty
with an
much
ingredient list.
right.
Yeah.
And so what about like the crackers that are at the health food store? Are there really healthy options out there? Or is it one of those things, just make it home?
Yeah, well, there's one, I mean, and they're kind of hard, but I like them. It's flackers are good ones. They're made just from flax seeds. They're just seeds, so there's no processed flours or anything in them, and they have all different flavors. So I recommend those if you do like a little crunch, that kind of thing. I think maybe it's one ingredient, two ingredients, I don't even know, but the fewer ingredients, obviously, in something, the better. And you want to stay away from all of those oils and sugars and everything else that are in those packaged things. But basically, and this is, everyone talks about this all the time too, stay to the outside the perimeter of the store. So we want to eat good fruits and vegetables and meats. You can buy canned beans and things like that, but probably better to buy dried and kind of do your own, beans, soak them and make your own beans if you can have beans. Just really paying attention to eating what is whole foods, and just really, even yogurt and things like that are healthy. They have like coconut yogurt. So things with simple one ingredient things. So if you're eating yogurt, don't buy the flavored ones, just buy plain yogurt and then add your own fruit. And for sugars, I would say you can use stevia or honey maple syrup, but in small quantities, moderation.
It's good that you mentioned that, because I know I'm calling out my family. Hello, family. I love you, but I'm calling you out on this one. They go through honey. Like in a week or in 2 weeks, they go through a whole thing of honey. I have a small jar. It's about this size. I've had it for a year because that's how much sweetener I add to anything. But I think what happens so often is, it's natural. So we think it's okay.
It's still sugar, and we still want to do everything in moderation. And I can guarantee, ladies say, "Oh, I can't give up all these things. I have like a sweet tooth." If you gradually decrease the sugar in your life, you will not crave it anymore. I drink black coffee or black tea when I was, no caffeine now, but if there was like an eighth of a teaspoon in there, it would taste so sweet to me. So you really, as you give it up, you really crave it less and less. Sugar is like crack. I mean, it is addictive. And if you can just start decreasing it, not just cut, I always tell women, baby steps. You don't need to cut it out completely right off the bat, because then you will never stick to anything. But if you can decrease things little by little, you can do it.
Yeah, I had somebody say to me not all that long ago, actually several times, well, Denise, I can't just stop eating things that I've been eating my whole life. And no, okay, well, let's start small.
Right.
And I think what happens is, so often in when we think of our diet, what we're eating, not being on a specific one, but truly diet as what we're eating, we go through that all or nothing mindset. And we think, oh, well, we can't have that. And so we're going from, eating cookies, and having tea with milk and sugar, to no cookie and no milk and sugar, like overnight. And I think it's important for people to realize that, yes, it's gradual. It's those baby steps that, none of us are saying, hey, do this tomorrow.
Right. We want
to take that first step tomorrow.
Yeah. Because you'll be amazed how good you will feel once you do eliminate those things from your life, like little by little. And it may not be like oh my gosh, today I wake up and I feel great, but then all of a sudden, oh, I don't have those aches and pains anymore. I don't have that inflammation anymore. My hair is looking better. My skin is looking better. People start complimenting me on how I look, different things like that. So it may be like a gradual process where you start feeling good and said, wait, hey, my digestion is good. I didn't even notice. I haven't, had that bout of diarrhea this week or whatever, because basically it could be a slow process.
Yeah. I think tummy issues, digestive issues, are a problem that most of us don't think of. When I was a child, I had what we called back then tummy troubles. Mm-hmm. And, my mom cooked at home, we had kind of basic, you had your meat, your veg, your potato, and a little salad. when we had cereal, we had the healthy cereal, puffed wheat, puffed rice, Raisin Bran, which, as I was telling you earlier, is still like, to me, it's like my crack. I could eat a box of cereal in one sitting. So I don't really try to keep it in my house. But I had these tummy issues from the time I was a child, honestly, until I was 33. And what changed, obviously my diet changed. I also started to see a chiropractor. So I'm not really sure if it was the diet or the chiropractor or a combination.
Combination, probably.
But I was at an airport one time, and there had been times when I was kind of online and I'm going, I have to go to the bathroom now, and had to go, go and run to the bathroom while my poor husband still waited online. And we were at an airport, we were running late for a flight, things were going crazy, when normally my system would have been going bonkers. And I just very calmly, okay, everything's good. And I got on the plane and he looked at me and he's like, how you feeling? And I said, fine. Why? He's like, your stomach's not bothering you? No. And then I went, my stomach's not bothering me. I wonder why. And when I started to really look back and see what I had been doing in the past, those past 2 years, it really was focusing on my diet.
Yeah, and our gut is connected to everything in our bodies. I mean, from our hormone balance to our brain, I mean, it really is kind of central control, to everything. So if we are experiencing dysbiosis, and where your gut lining is permeated and things are getting in, autoimmune disease is caused through those little particles that are going through there, because they're not breaking down and they're getting into your bloodstream, and then all of a sudden they're being attacked. So a lot of autoimmune disease comes from having a damaged gut. So we really want to take good care of our guts and eat foods that really heal our guts. So like bone broth is good, collagen, very good for our probiotics. Probiotic foods such as sauerkraut and pickles and yogurt and things like that. So I would suggest looking into how to take care of your good gut health as well.
Perfect. I think actually we have at Living Healthy List, we actually have an ebook on gut health for this reason. And it's funny, when you talk about the clean gut or the good gut foods, a couple of things you mentioned before was yogurt and not to eat the stuff that's sweetened. One of the things that I think is really important, because we see on the television some of these yogurt products that are, really good for your gut. I think it's really important. Okay, Activia is one of them. It's really important for people to really read through those the food ingredients, because even though they're touting this is really good gut food, if there's a ton of sugar in it, which most of them have, it's one, I don't know how they can say it's a healthy gut food if they're adding sugar, which is bad for your gut.
Yeah, I know you really do want unsweetened, just plain yogurt and whole fat yogurt, not low fat yogurt, because you want all the good stuff. They take out the good stuff when you're getting low fat yogurt. So do that, the whole fat, and just add your own stuff to it. Just add, and stevia is a good thing to add to it, and fruit, nuts, different things like that.
So you mentioned, yeah, it's great. That for me, that's a great snack for me. A little bit of yogurt with some nuts. You have mentioned the word fat a few times, healthy fat. So we talked about the good gut stuff, but we want to get back to the fat stuff, because yes, SnackWells that didn't have any. We want to eat whole fat.
We don't want to eat cookies with fat either.
Because they all have butter.
But butter is good. Okay, so you want like a Kerrygold butter, like grass-fed butter. Those are good, healthy fats. A good olive oil, avocados, wild-caught fish, nuts, different things like that. All good, healthy fats. Of course, in moderation. We don't want to overdo it either. But those are all so important. They prevent anxiety and brain disorders. I mean, they're so healthy for our hormones, our heads, our guts. So we really want to pay attention to eating a good amount of healthy fat during the day.
I'm glad you mentioned healthy fats in moderation, because there are some diets out there that focus solely on fats. And I'm as a health coach, I'm always concerned when people are eating a lot of one macronutrient and not enough of the other, and instead of keeping it balanced. So thank you for mentioning that, because I think it is really important. You mentioned it originally, whole foods. Just real quickly, list off whole foods to people.
Okay, so our fruits and vegetables, leafy greens, I say grass-fed and organic meats, chicken, fish, beans, what else we talk about? Rice and things like that. But all those things in moderation too, because we can't overdo it with carbs, and we should pay attention to that a bit. But anything that's like a single ingredient, things on the outside, things that are grown from the ground. A great place to go each week is the farmer's market and get like locally grown foods. There's so many things that you can do with whole foods that are simple. I mean, you don't have to have these extravagant recipes to, it's very simple things that you can make. I have recipes on my website. There's like little videos and things there to make like simple things. And I actually have a free Eating for Hormone ebook that you can get on my website, just like if you go to the main page on the website, and that has a list of things to eat for good hormone health, like pomegranates and avocados and fish and things like that. So there's a whole list there that you can get. But yeah, whole foods just means not in a package, not made from processed flours and sugars, and just really pay attention to putting the good stuff in our body.
Awesome. You mentioned your website. If you would tell us, Lorraine, what is your website? How can people connect?
Oh yeah, it's themagicofmenopause.com.
Lorraine also has an amazing program on Living Healthy List Academy. So that's also another way you can get to know Lorraine a little bit better through her course, and obviously through her amazing book, The Magic of Menopause, because we all do want to bring our happy back. We want to have that happy from today to the rest of through the rest of our lives. And Lorraine is here to help us do that. So Lorraine, thank you. Is there anything that you want, one last thing that you want to touch on or impress upon us before we sign off?
I would just tell ladies that to have a positive perspective about menopause. Unfortunately, Western culture does a great job of vilifying or demonizing it. And there are so many wonderful benefits to being postmenopausal. I'm 63 years old. I'm living my best life now. So I just want you to know that there is magic after menopause and to just really keep a good, healthy perspective about it.
I love it. And look how beautiful Lorraine looks. She just told us she's 63 years old and she's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
So doing all the right things, and thank you for teaching us and really being as an example to those of us who are following in your footsteps, Lorraine. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Denise. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for joining us here on the Wonder series. For those of you who are watching the replay, there'll be some notes in YouTube where you can connect with Lorraine directly, and you can always email us at support@livinghealthylist.com, and we can connect you with Lorraine as well. So everyone, I will see you next week, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, I leave you with this: healthy living, happy life. Have a great week.
Bye.